Welcome to the Video Game Book Club! This month we read Resident Evil: The Umbrella Conspiracy by S.D. Perry.
So this is book one. This is based on the first game, I suppose. Terrifying novelization of the best-selling video game.
What year did the book come
The
out?
book came out in 1998.
Okay, so it's 2 years after the game. Or it's 1996. I can't remember if it's 95 or 96 when this game came out. Alright, what's the back of the book say?
The back of the book says, Resident Evil: The Umbrella Conspiracy. Enter the world of survival horror. Raccoon City, a remote mountain community, suddenly besieged by a rash of grisly murders encroaching upon it from the surrounding forest. Bizarre reports start to spread describing attacks from vicious creatures, some human, some not. Victims are apparently eaten. That would have I probably would have switched that, been like vicious creatures.
We're not here to critique the back.
They've been eaten, some from animals, some from humans.
English teacher, let's back it up.
Because the human part eating them didn't come till later. They were like, oh, that's weird. That's human teeth. At the epicenter of these deaths is a dark, secluded mansion belonging to the mysterious Umbrella Corporation. There's just this like random mansion in the middle of the forest that apparently has been closed. For years, Umbrella has labored within the mansion, unwatched, ostensibly conducting benign genetic research. But they think that it's abandoned.
They're really trying to get your vocab words in there.
No, ostensibly. Deployed to investigate the strange going on is the Special Tactics and Rescue Squad, STARS for short, an unusual paramilitary response unit boasting an eclectic assortment of mission specialists. Roguish Chris Redfield, former cat burglar Jill Valentine, Deadeye, Barry Burton,
He's supposed to be a really good shot.
and enigmatic team leader Albert Wesker. Brad is leading no one, including himself. Together with the other STARS operatives who are not important, they have
nothing about Brad.
nothing about Brad. They have good reason to believe they're ready for anything. But what unfolds as STARS penetrate the mansion's long locked doors? Why are you looking at me like that?
Just weird words, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely right click
Interesting choices.
for synonyms here. Is terror beyond their worst nightmares, creatures that defy the laws of life and death. The result of forbidden experiments gone disastrously wrong. Behind it, it's not really disastrously wrong because it's like they were doing it on purpose.
This is a long.
I'm not done yet. I'm on the last paragraph though. Behind it is a conspiracy so vast in its scope and so insidious in its agenda that the STARS will be betrayed from within to ensure that the world never learns Umbrella's secret. And if any survive, they may well come to envy those who do not.
Yeah.
This is a Capcom game, by the way, and it's
In case you didn't know.
also brought to you. The book is brought to you also by Capcom.
So, if you want the audiobook, there are a couple people on YouTube that read it, the whole thing. I picked Mike Johnson. His channel is called Big Fox, and he added sound effects and music, and it was pretty dope.
Was there monkey sounds?
There was monkey sound.
Yeah, way to go, dude.
It was really good. There's a couple other people that do it. But yeah, I'm sad that there's not an official audiobook. But you know what? I'll take what I can get.
It's kind of late 90s. It's like before the
Audiobook boom.
trend. Yeah,
When did the audiobook boom happen?
like early 2000s.
Really? Thought it'd be later than that. So what's our history with Resident Evil?
Resident Evil is a game series that's been around for quite a bit.
It inspired so many games.
And it's probably the only actually successful movie franchise. I'm just gonna claim it. I don't
Gonna
even
be
know if
mean a
that's
Tomb
true.
Raider like that.
Oh,
Those
Sorry, Tomb Raider.
Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders
dude, those were
good.
movies. Remake, not so much.
I kind of liked Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia was a
That
a
was
good
pretty
movie.
good.
But they were supposed to do more, but it didn't
Yeah.
do very well. So they were like, sorry.
That's okay. They're still trying. Like I feel like the video game movie boom is happening right now. There's so
Uncharted.
many.
They did the Assassin's Creed, but
Yeah, that failed.
That kind of failed.
They keep trying though.
Doom fail. Halo's series now. I guess they're trying to do series instead. Last of Us is coming out with a series too.
Horizon is coming out with a series.
Mm,
You see that?
no.
Yeah, no is right.
But
Every time I see they're like, oh, we're turning this into a movie or series, I'm like,
But it's also like, why? Because if you've played it, that's your audience, or the people that have played it.
they never
You
cater towards the people who play it. I feel
already
like they
know
cater
what the
towards
story is, and
the
you've already
others.
experienced it, and you have like a hand in playing it. So it it's kind of boring just to sit back and watch.
Well, it depends on how you make it, because you can make it like apparently what these books do sometimes too, which is just creative liberties.
Yeah.
But movies, I feel like, and TV shows take huge creative liberties. They're like
They
they
kind of have to because they have to. I mean,
condense a game down into like in 2 hours
or expand,
expand
if they're
it.
doing a series. Plus, you have like side quests that you may or may not have played. They have to kind of cut all the characters that you because that's expensive to have all those characters
You basically just
in
create
the
a fan
series.
fiction. That's what Resident Evil did. They were
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna make my OC so powerful, and she's gonna go into Resident Evil land and just kick booty. She's an Umbrella experiment, super cool,
Yeah.
and all the characters love her.
Well, I mean, Mila Jovovich does kind of kick ass, so
She's the Monster Hunter movie.
yes, which is kind of like Resident Evil like 12, to be honest. But so
I see what you're trying to do with these.
the games have been around for a bit. They have several movies, animated
on.
movies as well.
There's
right?
3 animated movies, and they are the best movies. They're so good.
There was
highly
just
recommend
in 2021, so recently, is that when that new movie came out, which is Welcome to Raccoon City, which
Oh, there's also an animated TV show.
Mhm.
It's not good. That one's not good.
Welcome to Raccoon City wasn't fantastic either, but it kind of mirrors a tiny bit what happens in this book and in the first game, which is the mansion. And some of the characters are similar, but definitely lots of liberties taken
Well,
with that movie.
okay, so how many Resident Evil games have you played or seen?
I could not tell you
Because I was gonna ask you what your
they
favorite one was.
all run together for me. It's been a
Really? They
while.
do? After
Um,
4, they like switch to being more combat focused.
all I remember is that the zombies in the lab coats run faster than the ones that are not. And then I remember the fight at the end of one with the big creature.
Okay. I mean, they all kind of, a lot of them end with you shooting a rocket launcher at the enemy.
Yes.
It's very common. Very Resident Evil trope.
But you have played them more
I've
recently.
played all of them. Even the spin-offs, because Resident Evil is a fabulous game series, and I highly recommend it if you haven't.
And you can play multiple players, right? Because that's
Mm,
can you play 2-player?
no,
Or you just have different storylines?
not in all of them. There's a couple you can play multiplayer, but most of them you can't. Most of
Does-
them require different playthroughs.
That's really the only thing I remember is playing it at an arcade.
It's not House. I used to think Resident Evil was House of the Dead, and they were the same because I was like, oh, mansion, you
Yeah.
know?
Dead people coming at you.
Yeah. So
But there are multiple storylines because there's multiple characters. They all live in the world of Umbrella and Raccoon City.
yeah, it used to be like that, where you get to choose between one person's thing and the other person's thing. And then they changed it so that you're just one guy.
Chris Redfield.
No. But also kind of. So we're gonna spoil the entirety of the first Resident Evil. So if you haven't played it, I'd recommend you do that before this because you'll lose the twist.
Dun, dun,
And I didn't know the
dun.
twist when I played it, which is surprising that I didn't actually know
Well,
the secret of who was the traitor among the stars.
Traitor Among the Stars.
Aw,
They're just like us.
So I'd play it. It's not a long play either. Like most Resident Evil games take like 9 hours is what I've noticed because you get a score thing at the end that tells you how long
How
you
long
took
it was.
and how good you were at it, and it was always 9 to 10 hours for one playthrough. I didn't do both characters in one.
So in one, you can play as
Jill
Jill
or
or
Chris.
Chris. Jill Valentine.
And you get slightly different routes.
Which comes up in the story as well because they separate and it kind of goes, you have a little bit of a back and forth. So would you suggest playing both characters first before reading, or is it spoiled when
I
you
would play Jill before reading, and then Chris doesn't really matter. Because I played as Chris first because I've seen someone play as Jill before.
Okay.
But I actually didn't remember the thing with Barry. I'm not gonna spoil it, but
Okay.
the thing with Barry. So
Something about Barry.
you don't actually get that in Chris's route, and so when that was brought up again later in the series, I was like, "What?"
That makes sense because you have in the story, and I think in the game too, right? You have Chris and Rebecca are like one storyline, and then Barry and Jill are the other storyline.
Yeah,
And so,
and then they come together at the end. Okay,
So-
so yeah, play at least Jill's route, and then you can come back and we can talk about this book because there is slight differences in this book. Very slight though, to be honest.
All right, so we're gonna dive in. There's a quote at the beginning. It says it's from Aristophanes, Greek.
Ooh,
philosopher.
fancy.
Ooh. Evil events from evil causes spring, which I had to think about because it's a weird syntax. So basically, it's saying evil comes from evil.
Well, I feel like we got nowhere with that sentence.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks, dude.
It's very Yoda-ish. So
So
Aristophanes
dumb.
for the what? So after the quote of like, all right, we get a
You guys
prologue.
know that evil is evil.
Yeah, evil comes from evil.
Just letting you know.
From evil causes spring.
Thank you.
The April showers bring Mayflowers. What do Mayflowers bring?
Evil.
Uh, we have the prologue. The prologue is written in news form, so you have dates and
Yeah, it's like a news report, like a newspaper kind of thing.
yeah, very short. Like
Yeah.
this person's missing. This person's dead.
There's dead bodies found around Raccoon City with bite wounds, and they think it's dogs in the forest. So the city has a curfew now.
And a possible cannibalistic serial killer.
We don't know yet.
I like how it was like a cannibalistic serial killer, possible animal attacks. Definitely someone's eating someone, but maybe
They wanted to go for the funner
also-
option
Yeah.
and just being attacked
Maybe
by dogs.
also animals and
Maybe
in the
both.
woods,
Cannibalistic, a killer with dogs.
which was one of the theories that they're
That's
like,
true.
there's like 11 people hanging out.
That was like
It was a weird
Brad's
number.
theory or something,
Yeah.
right?
11, which is, I don't know. And then we also hear that STARS has been put together. They're a special team. Then they're being sent to investigate. We have 9 victims. 3 people are missing. There's a couple of kids that were they found?
I think their bodies were found.
Yeah. Either that or they were missing. I couldn't remember. And then I also put yet another reason not to jog.
Strange thing happening in the Arclay Mountains.
Body discovery, because they're like, joggers found this body. And I'm like, if you needed
Yeah,
another
don't run.
reason not to be a runner.
That's fine. Get treadmill. Stay inside.
There's a lot of information in chapter 1. It's our exposition, so they
There's a
have
lot,
to
yeah.
set up all of the characters. I have it actually in 2 columns because you
Really?
have information on Chris and then information on Jill. They are our principal characters.
All right, give us our info on Jill.
Jill.
What's up with Jill Valentine?
The fact that her father, 1, is a dick and 2 is named Dick because they
Wait.
repeat his name several times. So her father was a thief, and
This actually isn't in the game, but they're using it to make an excuse for why she knows how to use lockpicks really well. She's
Okay.
known as the master of lockpicking, and there was no backstory for that. But
What?
I can see why you'd want to like make a backstory for that.
so basically her dad trained her from a young age on how to rob houses. And so he went to jail and she was like, I don't want to live that life. And so she became a cop instead. And that was, I think, like a plea deal or something like that.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
I don't know why you would hire a thief, but she's got these skills that they're like, that sounds great. She knew the little girls, they lived like near her. And so she's emotionally.
Stars is kind of a joke anyway. They probably
Yeah.
just hired her for funsies.
Well, she's on the Alpha team though. There's an Alpha and
Yeah.
Bravo team. Bravo team is definitely the B team, and we hear like 2 things about them before they leave to investigate first. And Chris is like, "Why are they sending them in first? Why don't they send us?" And they're like, "B team needs practice too, Chris Redfield. So
Practice.
you got to."
We're sending you into the woods with a potential cannibal and a bunch of dogs. They need practice.
They need practice. So she's got a special set of skills, like taken, and that is to pick locks, but she can't pick all the locks in the story because there are special locks.
Gotta find those keys.
Mhm. And she's running late to the meeting because she dropped her keys in her coffee.
Ah, typical.
Then we read about Chris. But Chris thinks everyone is a dick. And his friend Billy is missing.
Oh no, not Billy.
Billy. He has questions about the Spencer place. He's like, we should go check that place out because it sounds fishy.
Oh,
And
yeah,
everyone's
and
like,
his friend worked for Umbrella.
yeah, he's
Billy.
like, I have something to tell you. And then he never showed up to their meeting place. And Billy's missing and no one cares.
Except for Chris.
Thanks. And so he's like, we should check out this place. And they're like, don't worry, Chris. That place has been locked up. We've been insured by Umbrella Corporation that no one's been there.
Oh, and Chris's backstory is that he's just an Air Force dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's like it.
The Spencer place is Umbrella's mansion for executives. Why you have a mansion for executives in the middle of a forest?
They all have to bunk.
Weird.
It's just a frat house
yeah,
for rich people.
It was closed after the architect went missing, and it's in the middle of the woods. Umbrella is a big deal in Raccoon City, which if you know anything about...
It's how they make money in Raccoon City, because it's like this small town in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
they're all employed by Umbrella.
They're a pharmaceutical corporation, and they employ 3/4 of the town. So there are people that do not have ties with Umbrella, but pretty much everyone else does. And that's chapter 1.
Well, we learn about Chief Irons, who is the police chief and a shady guy. And we learn about Wesker, who is head of the Stars. And we learn about Barry, who's also there. And there's also Brad.
Oh, yeah.
He's there.
They're going to have a meeting.
The thing you know about Barry is that he likes guns and his family. Guns, God, and what's the other one? Family.
He's got twins. He's a family guy. No one else has a family.
No one else has a family. And Brad is the pilot. And apparently tech guy, but like there's no hacking to be had. So
and no one trusts him already.
Oh, they think he's a chicken, so
because he's left missions.
And this is also when we found out that they sent in Bravo team to check out the mansions. And was it Irons or Wesker that sent them in? I thought it was Irons that sent them in, and then Wesker was like, I don't know about that.
I was a little bit confused about the whole Irons and Wesker relationship because no one likes Irons. He's the police chief, but Wesker, like...
You learn more about him in the second game.
Like, appeases him a little bit because it's office politics, but then he just makes fun of him.
Behind his back.
Like,
classic.
The second he, like, leaves. And so he undermines him in front of the team. But no one really likes him, and no one thinks that he is qualified for his position, so...
Politician, playing police chief. You know how it is. Real life. Anyway, chapter 2.
I have which is a better motto. Expect the unexpected or expect nothing.
Is there quotes at the beginning of these chapters?
No.
Oh, okay.
But they're like...
Wait.
They're talking about mottos of, like, the Stars team. The Star is like, expect the unexpected.
And then the other team is expect nothing?
No.
That's Wesker's.
But I'm like, yeah, Wesker, like, you should really, if you're going to expect the unexpected, shouldn't you just expect nothing?
True. It's kind of contradictory.
Yeah. I'm going to expect all the things that I cannot expect. They're having their meeting and Jill's late.
But she made it, eventually.
And then they're like, what do you think about that, Jill? Because you have all the files. For some reason, they gave her all the files, and they only have one copy.
They don't want to do any work.
And they're like, did you learn anything new? And she's like, oh, I spilled my coffee.
She's like, I guess it could be a cult, maybe.
6 to 10 cult members with dogs.
And Wesker liked that. He was like, good, I'll put it on the board. And then Brad was like, maybe a terrorist. And Wesker's like, I don't like that, but I'll put it on the board anyway.
Yeah. They're just throwing out theories. And the thing that Jill likes and doesn't like about this thing is that your theories will be picked apart by your teammates.
Yeah, so you have to say, like, what you think it is, but then you have to also contradict yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, oh, it can't be a cult, because that's stupid.
6 to 10. Dumb.
And then Bravo Team's transmitter went down, because they're listening to it while they're having this meeting.
And guess where they went down at?
The mansion?
The Spencer estate. Chris is like, I knew it all along. I didn't get to my theory because Bravo Team went down. But
he didn't have one, trust me.
I wanted to go to the Spencer estate this whole time, and no one was listening to me.
Yeah, so Wesker's like, hey, we're going to go down to this Spencer estate to see what happened to the helicopter, because the only way that the comms would go down is if the helicopter went down, because our comm signals are so good.
Don't they have radios? Like, other than...
I guess?
I feel like they don't have radios because they weren't
radio in
contacting each
people.
other.
I guess they only have radios that can contact the helicopter.
It was weird.
It was weird. Circumstances.
Mm.
Don't you wish you had cell phones in this situation?
It was the 90s.
No reception.
So chapter 3, we get ready to go.
Mhm.
And why you gotta send the girl to carry everyone's stuff?
Yeah, she went to the locker room.
So they're like, all right, Barry and Chris, go get all the guns, because you're big dudes. And Jill's gonna go to your lockers and carry all your crap.
Oh, guns are pretty heavy.
Why can't Barry go? Why does she have to go by herself if she's carrying everyone's armor and stuff? I feel like that was dumb. And they're like, "Oh, Jill's late." I'm like, "Yeah, because she's got to
They
carry
just
all
wanted
your
a
crap."
reason for her to be alone in the locker room. And some strange guy named Trent was in the locker room.
Yeah.
And he said he was a friend to Stars, and this is not in the games at all. Trent doesn't exist.
Kind of in the movie a little bit, but it's not Jill that has it. It's Wesker that has it. He's given
What?
he's given the electronic map, which is what we find out.
Oh, interesting.
But just a little PSA for all you guys. Please don't tell a girl you have something for her in the locker room.
This is a way for them to do the map situation without, because I think in the game there's maps over the in the mansion that you have to pick up.
Oh, okay.
And that's how you pick up you go into different rooms and it's above like mantles, and that's how you pick up the maps.
So Trent has something for Jill.
Weird that there's just an electronic map and only Jill has it. So like,
Yeah, but she doesn't know what it is at first. He's like, "Here, you're gonna need this because you're going to the Spencer estate." And she's like, "How do you know that?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it, Jill."
I'm a friend.
Yeah. But don't tell anyone about this too. That you met a weird man in the locker room who.
And she doesn't.
Yeah.
The whole game.
But that was smart.
The whole story. It was super weird. She's thought about it like a lot. She's like, I should tell about Trent in this map. And she's like, nah.
Also,
I don't trust anybody.
Why wouldn't you suit up before you went on the helicopter? Like, wouldn't you go to the locker room and like put on your tactical gear and then go get the guns and then go in the helicopter? Like, why is she like picking up your gloves?
I'm not a tactical person, but when I've seen movies, they always suit up in the helicopter.
I feel like it would have been faster for them to be standing on solid ground to be able to put their tactical gear on. This is where we find out that Chris was in the Air Force. And Jill, for some reason, is like, "Oh, my locker is full of all this dental hygiene stuff." That's not a bad thing.
She's looking at everyone's lockers in order to tell you their personality traits, which I thought was kind of a cute way to tell us about like who
Barry's
people
family.
are. Barry has family, and Wesker has nothing. He just is like locker's barren, and her locker in the game, her locker. No, it was her desk, because in the game they talk about the desks having stuff on them. And Chris has a jacket that matches his sister's on his desk, and then Jill has a picture of her dogs.
Hear about Chris's sister.
You hear it once.
In this book.
Once he talks about Claire.
Then, so we have made it to the woods, and the beta chopper is down and on fire.
And Jill warns Chris not to trust anyone. But she trusts him, I guess.
Yeah, and he's like, all right.
Well, I trust these people. And she's like, yeah, whatever.
They find the chopper. We're in chapter 4 now.
Mm-hmm.
The gear is still inside, which is a little weird. And there's a no scratch on the inside of the cabin. But then, Joseph, who's Joseph?
There's also another Stars member named Joseph, and he's basically cannon fodder for this section. So they were like, let's pan out in the woods and separate and see if we can find
the
Bravo
red shirt team. So he finds a Beretta, but it has something attached to it.
Yeah, it's a hand. Mm-hmm. It's still holding the Beretta, so great grip strength for a dead hand. And then the dogs attack Joseph, and he dies.
What could be a German Shepherd?
When in the game and the movies, it's like a Doberman, I'm pretty sure.
It's a Doberman.
So, that's okay.
I think
this is slightly
it's easier to show, like, the skin thing on Dobermans because they're not fluffy like German Shepherds.
But
it would make more sense.
Dogs,
yeah, it'd make more sense.
I don't know. I'd be more scared of a Doberman. They're big.
They're
German Shepherds are actually not as big as I thought.
20 years.
As someone who owns one, I was like, man, you're kind of medium.
She's tall. Your dog is taller than me, though. Of course, most people are, but yeah. So in the movie, they're Dobermans. They're like missing some of their skin, and you wouldn't be able to tell on a German Shepherd, I feel like, unless you were missing
unless
like,
their entire fur was gone.
Yeah.
And that would just look weird.
And
Brad ran away.
Brad Vickers.
Brad Vickers.
The smartest of them all. He's like, peace out.
Yeah, he took the helicopter and he GTFO'd. So Wesker, Jill, Barry, and Chris ran to the Spencer house.
And the door's unlocked.
They were like, somebody else, one of the Bravo teams must have been in here. Because, like, they see, like, smashed windows or, like, stuff like that, so...
But also, the house is in pretty good repair. Like, it hasn't been abandoned for, like, decades like it was supposed to be. There's, like, not a lot of dust or anything like that.
The first time you play the game and you run to the mansion, and then you try to leave out the front door and you just get attacked by dogs.
So they decide to split up, of course.
Classic.
They
Cover
were just...
more ground.
No one knows what happened to Beta Team. They're like, except for there's a hand on the ground. They're like, well, that wasn't good.
They don't know whose hand it was.
But we're in a house together, so obviously we should split up. And Chris goes off just on his own. Chris is like, I got this.
Yeah. And then he saw his first zombie. Aw, baby's first zombie.
And that I like, she describes, like, the smell, which I think is important because a lot of times, especially with these types of movies, that it's got to smell ferocious. All these rotting corpses and stuff.
Yeah, you're in a tiny
they're just
house with, like, out...
What's that sound? I'm like, you could definitely smell them before you see them.
No.
So, he's like, it reminds him of roadkill. So of course he goes towards it.
And then they hear gunshots and Jill and Barry come running and Chris is nowhere to be found, but they see the zombie who's eating one of the Bravo members, the one that was missing his hand.
Ken Sullivan.
Yeah. It's that classic Resident Evil one. He's eating the head and then he like turns and looks at you. It's super gross. It still gives me nightmares sometimes.
And so Chris is missing. Jill and Barry are still together. They go back to that first room to be like, hey, we found Bravo team.
Yeah, they want to talk to Wesker.
But Wesker's not there.
Wesker dipped. Wesker was the one who said that they should split up, so...
And then Barry's like, Jill, we should split up. And it's like, did you not just see what happened? Great idea. Let's do it.
Barry gave Jill... This is chapter 6. Barry gave Jill back her lockpicks that he borrowed so that she could lockpick shit, but she doesn't really lockpick anything, to be honest.
She liked one door.
Yeah.
I think it's what it was. Jill looks at what Trent gives her, and there's a little, like, poem on there about night keys, tiger eyes, 4 crests that go to the gate of new life, and then the East Eagle, West Wolf, which...
Puzzle stuff
that comes up later.
And it has a list of names and people connected to the Spencer mansion. But we don't know that yet. We just see a bunch of names. And we're like, oh, okay. Back to Chris shooting zombies.
He apparently went in a different hallway because this house is huge and you can't hear people in the next room, apparently.
Except for Rebecca, who maced him with bug spray.
As she should have, because...
She's the Bravo team medic and she's still alive.
She's like a super smart kid.
Yeah, she's the group's chemist. Yeah. Something like that.
She's like 18. She's not, but she's young. They say it over and over again how young she is.
She's so young.
So Rebecca Chambers is still alive. The door to the mansion was open when she got there. And so again, Chris is like, I knew it! Something's going on at the Spencer's gate. And she's got a key. She's like, hey, I found this key.
Yeah, she got a sword key and ammo. She doesn't have a gun, though. She lost it. So she's kind of like, what do I do? I can't punch zombies. Like,
yeah, she's the medic. She's just bug spraying them.
I'm just bug spraying them. So Chris takes the items and he's like, okay, you stay here and I'm going to go find the sword door.
Because they're in a closet and there's a bunch of papers in a crate. And he's like, I can't read this.
I can't read. So
this is
I'm Chris
chemistry
Redfield.
Stuff. I'm going to leave you in here. Don't open it unless it's me.
Yeah.
Secret knock.
Barred the door. And then we're back to Jill, who gets attacked
Lockpick extraordinaire.
Dogs.
She's like, what's that sound?
And it's the classic dogs broke the window.
Jumping through the window.
That jump scares you. And then she finds the room with the crows and the 4 crests. She learns she can open the door to the garden and go outside. So she's like, I gotta solve puzzles.
Yeah, it's when the sun sets in the west and the moon rises in the east. Stars will begin to appear in the sky. The wind. Oh, so this is what she goes to the outside garden and there's this like crust thing and she's like, I don't get it. But there looks like there are pieces here, and that's when she goes, let me go explore more rooms, and there's a portrait gallery with a bunch of crows and she presses the wrong button.
Yeah.
She's like, what does this button do?
Chris finds the Itchy Tasty diary. If you know, you know.
I don't know.
Oh, that's like a classic diary that you find in the game. That's like it. Obviously, it's writing like, "Oh, today it's in quarantine and
Oh, okay.
itchy, tasty. My friend came in. He was tasty, itchy." And then like the diary would just say itchy, tasty. So it's kind of like a joke. If you know, you know. Itchy, tasty. Am I right, guys? Wink.
Now I know.
And then he decides to go back to Rebecca with the news of itchy, tasty. So. And now we're into Wesker time.
Yeah, because itchy, tasty. Tasty is Scott from Security, apparently.
Yeah.
That's the May 19th entry. Wesker, he got orders 2 days ago, but then things went wrong. And he has all the master keys and the codes.
I love this, by the way. Wesker is mad because he wasn't paying attention. So he works for Umbrella. We find that out. And he was like, I don't want to solve puzzles.
I'm just going to sit in this room and let Jill do it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to use Barry to solve these puzzles because I don't want to solve these puzzles. And this mansion's full of spy crap and hidden tunnels, and I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. He's like, I think I remember where the door was, but it's been a while, so I'm going to let them figure it out, and then I'll just...
He just thought that Barry would be his best bet because he could blackmail Barry as opposed to anyone else on the team.
I did ask, like, what is a 121? Or...
In what context?
I don't know. It's like, he's got all the master keys and the code, and he's like, haha, 121.
I don't know.
I think we find out later, but I was like, oh, that's what that is. Yeah. He's, like, going against the team, but, like, using them, but doesn't care about them at all.
Nope.
So he's got in-game. He's got to go get some information, because it's worth a lot of money, and that's what he wants. He's motivated by money.
I am bummed that you find out Wesker is evil this early because I thought the twist in the game was really cool. That, he was the bad guy.
Where he's missing and all of a sudden you show up
yeah,
and you're
he's
like,
missing.
Wesker, there you are. He's like...
And when you played as Chris, he, like, left you items in your safe room and it was, like, nice. And you were like, oh, Wesker is helping me out. And then you have to fight him later and you're like, oh, no, darn it, Wesker. Now it's hard to not get that spoiler for sure.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Now we're in chapter 9. Jill saw the crow puzzle, the one with the paintings. If you know, you know.
So this was I like this book, but this was kind of my beef with like as a reader is there's all these puzzles and they're not described fully into their entirety for like me as the reader to figure it out before Jill. It's like, hey, there's paintings and this is what this one painting looks like and there's crows and there's buttons and I pressed the button and this happened. And then she's like, let me think about it for a second and this is what I should have done. I'm like, I didn't even get the information about all the portraits.
Yeah, I feel like the descriptions in this was kind of rough. There was a couple times I had to rewind it because I was like, I don't know where we're at in the mansion, and I have the memory of the game to go off of. So I know the room with the crows and the thing, and if you mess up, the crows attack you. But, like, I can't imagine thinking what it would look like if I didn't know that.
I got that it was a portrait gallery, and she describes one of the paintings, and that there's buttons underneath it. But she's like, oh, I figured it out. I'm like, how would you figure that out? How would you possibly figure that out?
I don't know. But the garden is when it gets like, I don't know what.
Yeah, that got confusing.
I don't know where we are. And then we were in the tunnels, and I was like, okay, I know where that is.
So Jill runs into the crows. It's another puzzle. Chris and Rebecca,
they meet back up.
They try to go back to the main hall. Barry is in the kitchen and runs into Wesker. There's an elevator, and Wesker just like steps out of it, and he's like, Barry.
Yeah, Barry.
It's like, where the heck have you been? He's like, don't worry about that, Barry. I have your family.
I have your family. We have Umbrella people watching your family, and if you don't solve these puzzles for me, I'm gonna kill them.
No questions asked at all.
And if I die, like if I don't send the thing, then they're gonna die anyway. So you can't just kill me. And Barry's like, oh, I guess my hands are tied.
Let me go run around this house and solve these puzzles.
Yeah, because I gotta solve these puzzles.
Does Barry solve any of the puzzles?
No, everyone else solves the puzzles.
Because Chris gives him the last piece, and he's like, I did it. But Barry, like the one that Wesker is using, does not actually solve any of the puzzles.
Yeah.
Jill is like running around. She's like, I'm gonna solve this puzzle.
Wesker doesn't think Jill can do anything. And he doesn't want to use Chris, I guess, because he doesn't have anything to blackmail them with. So, Jill solves one of the crow puzzles.
Mm-hmm. She finds the star crest and a shotgun. She's like,
Yeah.
I just got there was electrocution and attacked by crows, but I'm gonna take this shotgun off the wall because what could possibly go wrong? And she's like, it's probably a trap, but I'm gonna do it anyways because I need a gun.
Fair enough.
And so she just pulls it off the wall, and she's like, whew.
Hey, you saying when you didn't play the game, you weren't like, ooh, shotgun, and pulled it off the wall? Like, everyone does it. The game knows the human condition of being like,
That's because that's a game.
Shotgun.
You find guns, and you pick it up, and then you're like, oh,
well,
crap.
they don't have a lot of ammo. Like, I'm not blaming Jill for wanting to do this, but she almost turned into a Jill sandwich. Jill.
A Jilly sandwich.
A Jill sandwich.
A Jilly
and then Barry showed up just in time to save her.
Because the room is shrinking and she's
the
gonna
wall's
get
coming down
crushed.
and the door's locked and Barry just busted the door down.
Because Barry's a big guy. Pulls her out, but now she's got a shotgun and she's like, oh, Barry.
Almost lost my shotgun there, Barry. That have sucked.
Yeah. And then Barry's like, oh, we should not stick together.
Yeah.
Because I got to solve these puzzles and you got to go explore this other part of the house. Chris leaves Rebecca in a piano bar.
Yeah.
There's a room with a piano.
The sword key into the sword door ended up being a piano bar.
And of course, Rebecca's like, I can play the piano. Let me play Moonlight Sonata.
Well, yeah, that's the only sheet music she found.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chris left Rebecca in the piano bar, and Moonlight Sonata, and then it caused the wall on the right to move, revealing a small room.
And then she's like, if this moves, maybe there are other places in the house that move, because this looks similar to the thing that I saw in the first room. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna leave.
In the small room, there's a bust and a pedestal, and there's a little emblem, and the emblem was seen at the mantle in the Great Hall, like the middle hall, right? Yeah. She's like, it'll be really quick. I'll just go grab it so I can be useful, because I feel useless.
So he's like, stay here, and she's like, I found a puzzle. I'm gonna solve it.
And then Barry and Jill are hanging out outside, and Jill is really suspicious of Barry.
But she tells him about the puzzle. She's like, hey, there's a thing in the garden.
She doesn't tell him about Trent and the map.
And they split up again.
Yep. Chris finds another Bravo member, Forrest, dead. He saw talon marks on the body.
Killed by giant birds.
Then Chris gets attacked by big evil zombie birds. And he was like, I'm so dumb. I definitely should have suspected that when I saw the talon marks, but I'm an idiot. You are an idiot, Chris.
Gets attacked by a lot of things.
Worst character, Chris Redfield.
He's like, ugh,
he's so
zombies.
dumb and a terrible leader.
Giant birds. Rebecca finds another key because apparently
the thing in the game with Forrest is that you take his gun off of him and then he turns into a zombie and shoot him in the head. So I thought that's where that was going, and the fact that it turned into birds, I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer because you loot him and then he immediately gets up and like that's how you start to learn that zombies who are sitting on the ground could get up if you walk by them.
Just shoot everything in the head. That's when
but
I
you
play
can't.
a zombie game. That's what I do.
Because you only have a certain amount of ammo. Sometimes you have to juke zombies in hallways because Resident Evil's all about limited resources.
Yes. Rebecca finds another key, so she's 2 for 2.
Yeah, she got a shield key.
Yeah, she's like, I solved the puzzle.
Yeah, that's what she got for solving the puzzle.
Wesker.
Chris gives Rebecca Forrest's gun.
Yeah. So now she's armed. But it didn't help Forrest, so I don't know if it's gonna help her. But Wesker, he's like, I'm just gonna wait. And then
he's just chilling in a room listening to Barry and Jill talk outside.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna sit in this room and wait because
chilling.
I don't want to deal with the people that are in this mansion, dead or alive.
Did solve one puzzle. He got a crest, and he's like, I'm gonna wait until everyone else found the rest, and then I'm gonna sneak in. I'm gonna put the last one in, and I'm gonna go out to the garden, and then I know that's where the entrance is to the lab. Grab my stuff, and then bail, so nobody knows that I'm evil.
But then the key that he finds makes him mad because he's like, there should be 2 keys. And
there's another
only one
puzzle.
key. And he's like, son of a biscuit.
he found a thing and he was like, there's 2 puzzles? No! I get it.
So he's like, I gotta go threaten Barry again.
Yeah, I gotta go threaten Barry to solve another puzzle for me.
Can't wait this long. Yeah, this has to do with the Eagle of the East and the Wolf of the West. So he's like,
just 2 more.
He like throws it against the wall.
medallions.
He's so mad.
He just doesn't want to solve puzzles.
In his tiny closet.
It's really funny. So Jill is checking her map again, but it doesn't matter because she doesn't even use it.
She doesn't have any of the keys. She can't get in half the doors.
And she checks it. She's like, useless. But she does get jump scared by a zombie that grabs her foot.
Yes.
and then she smashes it with her boot, and then she goes into the armor room, and it's a puzzle room.
And she's
And
just
Jill
like, screw this puzzle.
Also, like, F puzzles, and breaks the glass with the butt of her gun, and just takes the crest out of it. I actually
poor puzzle.
remembered that puzzle, and that's not how you do it. But I'm glad that I wish I could have done that.
Maybe you can. Just be like, screw this. And then guess what? Chris gets attacked by something else.
Rebecca finds another Bravo member, Richard, dead. It looks like he was poisoned by a snake bite.
Mm-hmm.
They find the shield door, and it leads to an attic. Chris finds the moon crest, and then gets attacked by a giant snake, aka Yawn. That's the name of the snake.
The snake has a name?
Yeah, it has a name. Because it was experimented on.
Like, does the bird have a name?
Yeah. Well, they all have names. I only remember Yawn because I thought it was cute. And I was like, oh, if I ever had a snake, I'll name it Yawn because it has a big mouth. Yawn.
So...
He shot it in the eyes and it died.
Yeah, he almost gets crushed by the snake, but he survives yet another creature attack.
Yep, and he got his moon crest. And he was like, man, I was really holding on to this crest during that whole fight.
He like doesn't know anything about the crest, but he's like, I bet this is important.
Fair enough.
And then they run into Barry, and Barry is like, hey, what you got there?
Yeah, so he's like, I don't want to lie. He didn't want to lie to Chris, but he was like, we should split up. You should give me that crest. And Chris is like, I guess. He agreed. So Chris goes separate ways. Barry gets the crest. Barry like books it to the puzzle room, and Wesker's just waiting there, being creepy. Mm-hmm. And then Wesker then tells Barry about the second puzzle.
Yeah, because so I guess Jill is being very efficient because she's like putting the crest in as she goes. And so there's only one crest.
That's what you want to do in the game because you only have limited inventory space.
So that's the last crest, and so he's like, haha, there's another puzzle.
Yeah. So your family's still in danger because you have to solve this second set of puzzles for me. And then Jill went into the puzzle room again and saw that it was solved. And she was like, why didn't Barry tell me that it was solved?
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe someone else did it, but whatever. And then she goes outside and she sees a waterfall with a secret passage and somebody going into that secret passage. Mm.
There is a letter to Alma from a Martin Crackhorn. And it's like, weird things are happening. There's the diary entry that we saw before, and so we kind of get glimpses of what is happening at this mansion.
That all these zombies are just scientists.
Yeah, something went wrong. There was an experiment that in this mansion is not what everyone thought it was, and that there's a laboratory beneath.
Chris is worried since Barry didn't come back after he said he would, after he put in the crest thing. So Chris goes outside with Rebecca, and they get attacked by a bunch of tiny snakes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
It was this section where I was like, I don't know where they are.
Yeah, me too, because I thought they went down the waterfall like everyone else, but then Jill didn't have the snake issue, or she did, and we just didn't know about it.
Yeah, I don't know where we are, because I remember there being a pool and a crank, and then that's how you get into the
Because he saw the waterfall, he's like, oh, that's a door. And then I thought they went that way, but apparently they went a different way.
Yeah, because if you go through the waterfall doors, it leads to the tunnels, but they're not in the tunnels yet. So
yeah, they're in some water place, and there's snakes all over the ground.
I don't know
and
where
Rebecca's
we're
like,
at.
ew.
But anyway, they dealt with the snakes by running away. And then they heard Brad on the radio, but they couldn't respond. It was just like one of those like breakup, like,
I'm still here. They have a radio, and Rebecca, he's like, maybe you should stay here. Let's split up again. So you can try to talk to Brad on the radio.
Now we're back to Jill, who's in the tunnels by the waterfall.
And she runs into Barry.
Yeah, she's like, I guess the person that she saw going into the secret passage was Barry. And then they decide to stick together. Rare occurrence here.
And then we run into Enrico.
Yeah, the Bravo team leader, Enrico. They heard a voice in the tunnels and they ran towards him and they found him against a wall.
Okay, question. How does Enrico get into the tunnel?
I think he said he hopped a fence.
So there's another way in.
There's another way in that's just hopping a fence. I don't know. Anyway, he's in there.
But he knows something's not right. And so
he's like, there's a traitor in the stars. But before he could say who it was, he gets shot.
In the head.
And then Barry runs after the person who shot him. I wonder who shot Enrico. Which is a cooler thing when you don't know Wesker's evil. Because now you're like, obviously.
Yeah, especially when Wesker and Barry went down together.
They only know it's a he. So when you were playing the game, you could think, is it Chris?
It's Chris.
But this makes Jill believe in Barry a little bit more because now Barry was there with her when Enrico got shot. So she's like, maybe Barry's not actually that bad of a guy. Chris and Rebecca find a small bunkhouse.
Yeah, and that's what I was like. I'm confused. What about the elevator? Where are they? How
They
does
went
this happen?
different ways. So Jill definitely went there early, and Chris went into the weird bunkhouse for some of the mansion employees, and that's where they find Plant 42.
And Chris finds Alias 345 keys, which becomes important later. And then Rebecca's like, Plant 42. It's carnivorous.
Yeah, it's a mutated plant that eats people.
And then again, 121 comes up, and I'm like, what the crap is 121? Like I said before, and then it ends up being the Hunters.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hunters are like humanoid reptile things that are hard to kill.
Yeah, you have to shoot them
a lot.
You
have to waste a lot of ammo. Wesker, on the other hand, was confronted by Barry for killing Enrico, in which he says, look, no one else has to die. Just keep solving puzzles. You can take Jill if you want, but you should lock her up for her own safety.
Yeah, because I'm going to kill her. And he's like, I have to protect Jill, but I have to protect my family.
Yeah.
And just, Barry got 2 thumbs down for me.
Poor Barry.
Yeah. Chapter 15, Run, Jill, run.
Jill gets attacked by a hunter, which we just talked about.
It's a muscular body. That's very described. Like, this is where the detail comes in.
But could you picture it in your brain?
It was a little confusing. I've seen them before, so I know what they look like.
Yeah.
But
I was like, thank goodness I know what these
look like.
There's also sometimes I'm like, well, that's the guy who turns his head. There's the tyrant. We're looking at the cover art,
book,
which you can probably see on the YouTube thing. That
the dog, the
snake,
zombie, and the thing that we'll talk about.
Yeah, I don't see a hunter on here.
The cover art, it's blue, and you have your 3 characters on the cover. Jill with her barrette.
Yeah, Jill, Chris, and Wesker. I'm pretty sure that's not Barry. It's funny when you play as Chris's route, you never run into Barry. So, and he's not in the, when you leave the mansion, Barry's not in the helicopter with you.
You're like, who the crap is Barry?
In the Chris route, I figured Barry just died. Like,
good assumption.
Where are we? Oh yeah, Jill gets attacked by a hunter, then kills it.
Yeah.
Chris and Rebecca create a herbicide. This is back. We switch between characters a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's back and forth in the chapters. So they find the plant. It's like the place is flooded, and they're like, maybe we should turn the water off. Yeah. And Rebecca, who's a chemist, is like, I have all the ingredients I need.
Yeah, she can make a herbicide to kill it. The plant's blocking the only exit, and they plan on killing the plant at the root so they don't have to fight it. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember in this game if you can choose to do the herbicide thing or just fight it, but I feel like that was a choice, but I did the herbicide thing because I didn't want to deal with it.
Probably smart.
Don't want to waste ammo.
Yeah. Then it brings us back to Barry, and Barry also kills a hunter.
Yeah, and Barry is sad about Enrico's death. He's like, it's all my fault! And it kind of is, actually. So, but I mean, it's mainly Wesker's fault, so...
Yeah, but if he would have told Chris and Jill, be like, heads up, Wesker's a douchebag.
He hears gunshots, and he thinks it's Wesker killing Jill. So he, like, runs towards it, and it's just another hunter. Yeah. In BD. She's just fighting the hunter. Chapter 16. Jill got Indiana Jonesed by a boulder.
Yeah, for sure. And we also have giant spiders now.
Yeah, fun. Mm-hmm. And then Chris found the basement, and it was flooded.
There's a shark.
There's a huge mutated shark in the water, a.k.a. his name is Neptune.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's cute. They're cute names. He managed to find the emergency draining system, and then he used it to kill the shark, which basically just dropped the water, and then the shark's just flopping in the game.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying, actually. Yeah, so the Wesker's bummed that no one gets to see how cool his evil plan is. That was a whole Wesker section where he was just like, bummer. Nobody gets to see my evil scheme. Okay, so Plant 42 is squirming since Chris drained its water, and then they kill the plant. That wasn't blocking anything anyway.
Jill is also running around. She's in research and development, and she finds a key, the lightning bolt key, and files, and then she's like, there's a name on here. She finds out about Wesker.
Yeah, finds out about Wesker.
And then Chris and Rebecca also find out about Wesker in the same chapter.
Oops. They found a piece of paper with Wesker's name on it, proving that he worked for Umbrella. No
No.
way! Wesker tells us his plan of taking 2 of every tissue samples and GTFOing out of there.
It's very Jurassic Park of him.
Yeah. Then he saw Jill, and he was like, whoa, Jill's still alive? Man, I thought she was lamer than that.
But then she has to go to where the monkeys are, so he's like,
She's gonna get eaten by
She's
the
gonna
monkeys.
get eaten by the monkeys.
I'm not gonna worry
but
about
Jill
it.
can run fast, so...
And then he
Because
saw-
Wesker ran, like, through the monkeys, too, and he's like, oh, Jill can't do that.
Jill can't run through monkeys. Only I can run through
Only I
monkeys.
And then we see Barry again, and Barry sucks.
Why would he do this time?
This is where he brings Valentine to Wesker.
Oh yeah, so Jill gets attacked by a hunter ? Monkeys? I
think it's
can't tell.
monkeys.
And then she runs into Barry, who also looks beat up. And Barry's like, "We should go down to the labs and get the umbrella info."
You find out that Wesker's was like, "Bring me Jill Valentine, and she'll be safe." And of course, you just saw him shoot Enrico. Like, what are you thinking, Barry? He's like, "Oh, to save Jill, I have to bring her to Wesker." Like, that's illogical, and
because Wesker wants to lock her up, and in the meantime, Chris and Rebecca are going also down to the labs. But Chris asked Rebecca to stay by the elevator so that she can get in touch with Brad. I believe they're on the roof or something.
it's like I want to say there's like a ladder to get, like, sewer system wise to get up.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go down for 20 minutes. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, just leave that way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be dead. So back to Jill, Barry, and Wesker. Wesker and Barry take her weapons, and Wesker's like,
just leave her, Barry. Just walk away. You don't.
I'll meet you in the labs later.
Yeah,
okay?
she'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
It'll be cool. And then Barry clicked the elevator button and then just like stayed hidden to listen in.
It's when you like make the loud walk away sounds, and then
look, I'm leaving.
He's like,
clomp, clomp, clomp.
Something doesn't feel right. Finally, Barry, something doesn't feel right, and he's like, I have to do something about it. He goes back.
Yeah, he hears that Wesker lied about his family being held hostage, and then he just pistol whipped Wesker in the back.
His evil villain speech, like, I tricked Barry, and...
Yeah, Jill's like, why the hell are you doing this? And then, let me tell you my evil scheme.
Barry's like, I know it!
Yeah, and then just pistol whipped him. And then what was so dumb to me was that they were like, we don't have anything to tie Wesker up with. We should go into the labs and get some cord. And I was like, you're just going to leave him there?
Yeah.
At least one of you go in and the other one, like, points gun
They've
at
been
him.
separated this whole time, but now they have to stick together.
I forgive a lot of things, but that I was like,
Well, you had to have an exit strategy. And then when they're in the labs, they're like, what's this thing?
When you play as Chris, Jill is actually locked up. And you have to help get her out.
Barry. So they see the tyrant.
Maybe the ending for Chris was that Wesker killed Barry after they locked up Jill. Anyway, I don't know. Jill forgave Barry anyway.
It's like, I understand. You have a family.
Yeah.
That's your character development.
That's your character. That's your only personality trait, guns and family. So, know a couple of those guys. They go into the lab looking for a cord to tie Wesker up, and then they saw the tyrant.
Who's in this
tank.
Yeah.
Looking thing.
A deformed person.
With a big hit me mark on its heart.
Yeah. And they're like, that's so sad. We should
flip all the red switches. I like how Barry flipped one and then he looked at Jill and Jill was like, yeah, sure, flip them all. And they flipped them all. And then the tyrant woke up and started shattering the glass. And they were like, oh my God,
We thought it was going to kill it, but now we just released it. So
they ran away.
Geez.
And then they saw that Wesker was gone. So they messed up on two ends.
Yeah. But it's okay because Wesker gets attacked by the monkeys. He
Wesker
can't run that fast.
Was running away and he tried to start the self-destruct sequence for this lab, right? And then he got attacked by zombie monkeys and then he died, which is not as cool as the game.
But he dies like the tyrant walks towards him and
then he gets killed by the tyrant.
He like dies right before.
I wasn't sure because it sounded like to me he got attacked by monkeys and then just sensed in his heart that the tyrant escaped.
He dies before he can see the tyrant, but the tyrant's like you can hear it and it's coming towards him. And
because I loved the way that he died in the game, that this was so disappointing to me.
But it was a little bit, I think, justified because he was like, I wanted to see the tyrant, and he never did because Jill.
I love the fact that the tyrant kills him. So, in the game, when you walk into the room with the tyrant, he's in there and he's like, aha, you know my evil scheme. And then he gets like stabbed through the heart by the tyrant. because he's like, I want you to fight this tyrant for battle data, and then, he gets stabbed by it, and then they're like, that's how the tyrant gets out,
No.
because it stabs its way through it. And also in Chris's route, he shoots Rebecca.
Rude.
Yeah, he shoots Rebecca, but she was wearing a bulletproof vest, so it doesn't matter.
Good for you, Rebecca.
If Rebecca's still alive in your playthrough, because she can die if you're playing as Chris, if you don't get to her fast enough when the hunters show up. So if you hear screaming, go find Rebecca, because
save Rebecca.
I was definitely too slow and I had to reload, and I felt really bad.
So yeah, he wanted to see the tyrant, and so he was gonna release it, I thought, or he was gonna kill it.
He was gonna leave Jill with it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
And then so like you can hear it coming, and then he like dies before.
Yeah.
So Wesker.
Or did he?
Bum bum
Bum bum bum. I don't wonder if this was written before we knew that Wesker
in,
comes back.
In this book, he's dead.
He's dead.
And this is where we get the tyrant fight.
Yeah, Rebecca heard Brad again over the radio, and then she heard the self-destruct alarm, and they have 5 minutes to get out. And then Jill and Barry run into Chris, so we're all together now, and they're gonna go up to the helipad, and then the tyrant follows them up there, and they all start shooting at it, and it went for Barry, and it like messed him up, and then it went for Chris, and then Brad threw down a rocket launcher.
Yeah, because Brad's like, I can't land if there's a giant tyrant on the ground. Like, you gotta kill it first.
So Chris uses the rocket launcher to kill the tyrant, very Resident Evil. And then the epilogue.
And then they get on the helicopter and the estate blows up.
Yeah, the estate blew up.
It's a super short chapter. So Brad apparently has been flying around like this whole time.
Run
like, he left and then was just like, I shouldn't leave. So he's like...
He's been flying around on the radio, contacting them. But he also got a weird radio message from Trent. He
was like, don't leave. They're going to be in this exact spot. Yeah, he gave them the coordinates for the mansion. Always feels like somebody's watching me.
Yeah, so Trent was a weird addition. I don't know. We have to read the rest of these books and see if Trent shows up again, or if this is just like a way.
Who is Trent? Is Trent in the story?
No, Trent's not in the story at all, which is super weird. Do you think Trent will show up in like the other books and he'll be like, "Here's the map"?
That honestly, like, I feel like
Trent is us.
Trent's not
weird Trent.
Crap, she needs a map. How does Brad know where to go? Trent.
Good old Trent. So yeah, pretty good book overall. I gave it 4 stars. We didn't talk about what stars we gave it.
Stars. It was entertaining and moved very quickly.
It did.
There's a lot of stuff that's in it. I thought.
Oh wait, I think I missed something. There's a couple Wesker things I missed where when you cut back to Wesker and he's like, I'm killing my coworkers for personal pleasure. Ha 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 ha. And that was kind of weird.
Yeah, Wesker, everyone loved Wesker at the beginning of the book, and then you're like, why are you such a douchebag?
I love Wesker. He's such a bad, good villain. Favorite character. He's such a douchebag. He's like not redeemable at all.
He's like, I'm doing it for the money.
He wears sunglasses inside. Wesker.
Wesker.
I miss him.
So we did enjoy this book. It was written pretty well. There's some like confusing parts and descriptions, and I feel like if you're familiar with the game, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
I played the game, but it's been a long time, so I kind of remembered some of it. I was confused in certain areas.
Yeah, I was confused in certain areas too. I didn't know where we were, but I didn't play Jill's playthrough, so I got some new info, I guess.
Jill Valentine, good character. Apparently we hate Chris Redfield.
I hate Chris Redfield. You don't have to hate Chris Redfield, but personal.
He's missing some. I think you get when you get the backstory with his sister and all that stuff. He probably evolved more. I feel like he was.
He was taking care of Rebecca because he reminded her of her sister. Reminded him, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, he's like, I'm from the Air Force and I have
I like
morals
guns.
And
Chris is really boring.
He's the good guy, like,
and then he gets terrible later on. Ugh, Chris.
And then there's Barry.
And then there's Barry. Okay, so I'm a Barry apologist because Barry gets better later on in the series, and I know
Barry sucked in this book.
I know it was bad, but I don't know. I feel bad for Barry.
I do not feel bad for Barry. Brad also.
Okay, well, Brad's not that bad in the game. He's just flying around. He doesn't know what happened to people, and he can't get in
straight up
contact
left
with
them.
them.
He was like, "I'm out." Weird
But it
stuff.
doesn't matter because he gets eaten in 2. So
No.
there's like a secret in 2 where if you do something in a certain way, you can see a Brad zombie in front of the police station. You can tell because he has a yellow vest.
So overall,
Great,
enjoyed it.
great book.
I think if you're a fan of Resident Evil, you should read it. You don't have to play the game first, but it's helpful. So,
That's true. It is helpful.
And Esty Perry writes other series as well. I think she wrote the Uncharted novelization of the movie.
Yeah, she did.
And she writes some of the other stuff. I don't know.
We'll probably be reading her again, and I look forward to it. Okay, our next book. Another Mass Effect book. You know me, I love Drew Karpyshyn.
This is like the third Karpyshyn book.
I know, but listen, I have to play Mass Effect 2, and everyone, like 2 people, told me that I need to read this book first.
All right, let's take a look. What is the book? Take a look at the book. Mass Effect Ascension. Is this the second book?
This is the second book.
Or second game?
Yeah, it's before the second game. So I hope it's better than the first one. Like, I didn't hate the first one, but we'll see.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to our
That was our first episode.
It was.
Aw.
So Karpyshyn for 3. No.
3. Giving him a third chance.
So read it with us or don't and just wait for us
Welcome
to read
to
it
the
too.
Drew Karpyshyn fan club. See you next time.